we're honored, Professor Golany, to have you here with us, and tell us a little bit about what brings you to St. Louis.
Well, I am serving as the Vice President for External Relations and Resource Development for the Technion, and one of my many responsibilities in this position is to be the main point of contact for the Technion societies around the world. We have right now about 11 societies active around the globe. The American Technion Society is the most significant one, the most influential one, and the one that has always served as a strong pillar of support for the Technion. It was created in 1941 and has been very helpful for the Technion ever since. The American Technion Society is organized in regions and chapters, and so we have a region that is headed in Chicago and a chapter that is located here.
Well, this chapter is a venerated and highly respected chapter.
And we are definitely appreciating everything that the community has done here through the chapter over the years to help the Technion. And the reason I'm here is to discuss with the leadership of the chapter the ways in which we can strengthen the relationship, expand them, and continue the wonderful support we've been receiving from this chapter.
Please tell us about New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg's recent announcement of the creation of a Technion-Cornell Innovation Institute, which has been described as a New York version of Silicon Valley, and it's going to be on Roosevelt Island. I've read the background information, but in your own words, tell me why this is such a significant event.
It is definitely a significant event and a major breakthrough, not just for the Technion, but also for the state of Israel at large. Mayor Bloomberg has a vision where the city of New York will have a strong technology sector. New York is very strong in financial services, in entertainment, in medical services, but it's not really up to par with the Silicon Valley and the other technology-oriented regions in the world. So he initiated an international competition which was by invitation only. The Technion was the only university in Israel to be invited to join this competition. We stated up front that we are not going to do it alone because we don't have the capacity and we don't have the knowledge and expertise required to build a new institute in New York, so we were looking for a partner. Luckily, we were matched, to use a Jewish term, with the University of Cornell, which is a great university, and together we put together a nice proposal, and we won. And one of the reasons that we won was that the model that we have suggested is a revolutionary model that is very different than what we do both at the Haifa campus of the Technion and the Ithaca campus of Cornell. We followed the guidelines of the city, the Economic Development Council of New York, who stated in the guidelines for the competition that they're looking for a game changer, something that is dramatically different than the way universities run their business usually. And we, the Technion, brought to the table the model that we have started to develop at the Technion, which is to move away from the rigid structure of hierarchical departments in school and more into or towards a structure of interdisciplinary research centers that bring together the forces from different disciplines. We suggested a structure of hubs. Several hubs. Each hub focuses on a particular area of applications. So the three hubs that will be featured in this new institute will be, one will be technologies for the urban environment, the other one media technologies connecting people, and the third one will be technologies for healthier life. In all three, the common theme is information technologies. And that's an area where the Technion is very, very strong. We were ranked recently as number 15 in the world of our capacity in computer science and computer engineering. And this is part of the of what we bring to the table. We also bring an interesting model of collaboration with the industry. The Technion has very, very strong links with the Israeli industry, with multinational corporations in Israel. If you visit Israel, you find basically that every large technology company in the world has an R&D center in Israel. Nearly all of them are concentrated along the coastal road leading from Tel Aviv to Haifa, and right around the Technion, within 10 to 20 minutes drive from the Technion, you see a collection, a very impressive collection of multinational corporations such as IBM, Intel, Microsoft, Philips Medical, Yahoo, Google, Apple. Apple has just announced that they are...
You anticipated my next question, because I was going to ask if this attracted the interest of any of the superstars.
Of course,
like
because
Zuckerberg, etc.
Because the idea is that around this new Institute of Applied Science on Roosevelt Island, there will be several belts of companies. The first belt will be startup companies, just like the many startups we have in Israel. The second belt will be SMEs, small to medium enterprises, and the third belt will be larger companies going all the way to some of these giant companies that I've just mentioned. And we can bring our excellent track record of working with these companies and the movement, the flow of people between campus and the companies back and forth, because most of the Technion students, unlike what you find in this country, most of the Technion students work from the second year onward. They start with student positions which quickly become full engineer position. Even before they've graduated their studies, they work in the technology companies. So they bring the fresh knowledge they have from the campus to the companies. That's one way. And the other way, they bring the problems and challenges from their workplace to the Technion. They get the professors interested. They do the projects, whether it's the regular projects or the senior year project. They do the projects on real-world problems that they face in their workplace. So that cements our relationship with these companies, and that's, I think, part of the reasons that we won.
Will there be students from the Haifa Technion campus attending classes or participating in this new venture, as well as students from Cornell, or will it be an entirely freestanding entity?
It's going to be a freestanding entity which will recruit its own students, and most of the students will be from this country, because we are determined to fulfill the vision of Mayor Bloomberg to develop the technology sector in New York and provide new jobs for tens of thousands of people in the New York area for these technology companies. So I would estimate that most of the students will be Americans or foreign students that immigrate from their home country to New York in order to stay there. Israeli students from the Technion will come as exchange students. Mm-hmm. We certainly see an intensive flow of people for exchange reasons. The PhD program, which will be offered by this new institute, will be a dual Cornell Technion degree.
That was one of my next questions, is what degree will be conferred at that?
And in fact, every PhD student, no matter if he is registered if he's originally enrolled in Israel or in the new institute, will have to spend time both in Haifa and in the institute.
I see.
So there will be a movement of people back and forth. Now, to go back to your question, on the island, on Roosevelt Island, the larger academic entity will be called Cornell NYC Tech Campus. Mm-hmm. And in this campus, Cornell will offer a number of its existing programs. This will be duplicates of what it offers in Ithaca. Within this larger entity, there will be a smaller entity, which will really be the pearl in the crown, so to speak, of the campus, and this will be called Technion-Cornell Innovation Institute, or abbreviated as TCII. And Technion-Cornell Innovation Institute will be the place where we will jointly offer the PhD degree, as I described before, and 3 Master in Applied Science programs. For each one of the hubs that I mentioned before, there will be a Master in Applied Science. Mm-hmm. this Master in Applied Science is a bit different than the usual Master in Science, because instead of a regular thesis, the students will be required to work with companies, and that will be the motivation also for the creation of these 3 belts of companies around the Institute. So the students will be required to work with the companies on real-world challenges, develop new products and new services that will eventually go out to the marketplace, either within existing corporate lines or as new startups.
Did Mayor Bloomberg himself come up with this concept, or was it in tandem with Cornell?
Everybody that I have spoken to attributes the vision to Mayor Bloomberg himself. The initiative was run through an entity called the Economic Development Council of New York. And that's the legal entity with which the contracts were signed.
I see.
But definitely it's Mayor Bloomberg's vision.
Well, we're all very fortunate that he is putting that vision into action. Over the years, Washington University in St. Louis has had some cooperative projects with the Technion. Are you personally familiar with any of these, or any of them ongoing?
Yeah, we have an umbrella or framework agreement between the 2 universities, WashU and Technion, for students exchange and faculty exchange. That's at the university level. And at the faculties level, we also have some individual agreements between faculties at the Technion and some faculties here. Prior to holding this position of a VP, I was the Dean of the Faculty of Industrial Engineering and Management at the Technion for 6 years. And within this department, we also have the MBA programs of the Technion, so I played some role in reaching an agreement with the School of Business here at WashU.
It's a fine school.
And it's a great school. It's definitely a great school. We have some colleagues that teach in this school, and we have a lot of appreciation to them. And one of our greatest supporters in this city, the Bohm family, starting with Milford Bohm and the late Milford Bohm and his widow, Mrs. Lee Bohm, have been very supportive in creating or in fostering relationship between the School of Management here and the Technion. I would like also to mention Professor Stuart Greenbaum, who was the Dean of the School of Management here for I think a decade, and later he was selected by the Israeli Council of Higher Education to head an international evaluation committee that reviewed all the MBA programs in Israel. So he came to Israel with the international committee that included professors from different countries, and spent some time in the country visiting the different programs, including the one at the Technion, and he's very, very knowledgeable about what's happening in this area in Israel.
You've talked about the future of the Technion and the partnership with Cornell, and that kind of anticipates, I was going to ask you what the principal differences at the Technion between now and 5 years ago, and what you anticipate the principal direction over the next 5 years at the Technion.
Well, actually, I should start by focusing on this year before I'm moving back and forth 5 years. Okay. This is one of the greatest years of the Technion ever. At the beginning of this academic year, we were planning a sequence of events to celebrate our cornerstone centennial. This year we celebrate 100 years for the laying of the cornerstone for the Technion on April 11th, 1912.
Wow. So
we are now 100 years and some 20 days past this historical event.
Congratulations, that's wonderful.
And we are the oldest university in Israel. We were created more than a generation before the State of Israel was created, and we were very proud. Little did we know, a couple of months later, we were positively surprised to hear that one of our scientists received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for 2011.
Who was that, please?
Distinguished Professor Dan Shechtman from Material Engineering at the Technion. He joins 2 other distinguished professors of the Technion, so now we have 3 Nobel laureates in 7 years, which is a great achievement that very few universities in the world can boast. And so the year continued with good news, and the third major event was the announcement of the City of New York that we won the partnership
Right.
with Cornell. Now, all this puts us at a completely different league from the previous league in which we were playing. While before you could look at Technion as part of the Israeli league, in the future, if I go back to your question, where will we be in 5 years? We believe that we will be on in the Champions League, so to speak. I'm using football language here.
Sure.
We will be in the Champions League, competing with the best universities in the world. And our vision statement calls for the Technion to position itself among the top 10 science and technology universities in the world. We are not that far. We are now ranked about 24, 28, depending who you ask, in science and technology.
So you won the playoffs, but now you're going for the Super Bowl.
You got it right. We are going for the Super Bowl, and we go all the way, full steam ahead. We are energized. We have a good track record, and I think we know what we are doing, and we are pretty confident that we'll be there.
Very good. Well, I want to, first of all, thank you and your colleagues very much for the time you spent. And my other comment, I understand there's a scientific backstory to that terrific tie that you're wearing. I kept staring at it.
Yeah.
Tell us the backstory of the tie.
What you see in this tie is the 5-fold symmetry that Professor Shechtman found under his microscope,
Good.
circa 1982-83. He looked at the microscope, he couldn't believe it, because this 5-fold symmetry means that you can't really duplicate parts of it very easily. If you think in terms of the tiles on your floor, and you have a certain pattern of tiles, you can then duplicate the same pattern again and again if you have a large enough house. With this symmetry, no matter how large the chunk of tiles that you take, and you look at the larger space, you can't duplicate it easily. And that's what he found. It's a new form of material. He took several observations to convince himself that this is correct. And then, when he tried to publish it, the scientific community didn't believe him. And people ridiculed him, especially one of the most famous Nobel laureates who lived in this country. I won't mention his name so as not to offend anyone. He said there is nothing like quasi-crystals, there is only something like a quasi-scientist. And so he ridiculed him. But Professor Shechtman, being an Israeli, true, honest-to-God Israeli, didn't give up. You know, we have taken away the word impossible from our dictionary.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't have that. So he fought his way for 20 years for recognition. And one of the reasons that he earned the Nobel Prize was for being stubborn, for holding on to his scientific truth and not giving up in the face of the opposition that he faced.
And it's actually aesthetically quite beautiful. It reminds me of the story about the fractal that is found replicated throughout nature practically, and someone described it as the palm print of God.
Right.
So.
And as a token of appreciation to your nice hospitality,
Oh, goodness.
I have here a gift.
Well, I can't wait to see what it is.
And it says, think Technion, science just got smarter.
Terrific.
And what do you know?
What a great surprise. Thank
Here
you
it is.
so much. Holding it up for our camera to see. We appreciate Professor Boaz Golany visiting us. Really a wonderful honor to see you, and
Thank you very
it
much.
worked out beautifully.